compared to you. Okay.
Yeah, it was just huge.
I'm
Then
thinking
they cut
you.
them with a handsaw,
Right.
up and down.
So did they have a special bevel on those saws or something or other? Or were they only for cutting ice? These saws?
Oh, they were just teeth, just like they use for log cutting,
Okay.
but they're longer tooth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it like a cross cut or a rip?
Or it's like a cross cut,
Okay.
like a two-man, but
Okay.
it's a one-man that uses it.
Okay.
Got a T handle on it.
Okay.
So did you ever help with cutting, or were you too young to run it to try cutting?
They'd be the same guys that my grandpa had in his woods cutting logs.
Oh.
So they're lumberjacks.
But you were quite young then.
And of course, Michigan at that time was just thronged with lumberjacks. You could get a job, pretty easy.
Sure.
Cutting logs, with a handsaw.
Yeah.
There wasn't
Wow.
anything such thing as a chainsaw.
So then all those lumberjacks in the winter, if they weren't cutting trees, they would be cutting ice.
Well, no, there's only a few of them that my dad would hire for cutting ice. Yeah.
So the rest of the lumberjacks, would they go south for the winter? You think, or would they keep?
No, Grandpa Jim built great big dormitories out in the woods.
Huh.
He built it with what he made out of lumber, and those days they would cover the outside of the camp building was the new thing was tar paper.
Okay.
That was a new idea. So
Keep it warmer.
You could
Keeping the wind from blowing through the building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tar paper shacks, and my dad lived in one of those growing up as a kid.
Really?
Yeah, he lived in a one room tar paper shack with his 6 brothers and 1 sister in Grand Rapids, outside of Grand Rapids.
Oh yeah.
My dad did by up by Clear.
So
And
Michigan was
photos of it.
just full of those places,
Yeah,
cutting logs.
but they would they keep cutting through the winter too, right? The lumberjacks would cut in the winter as well.
Oh, they had to move a log with a
sleigh.
team of horses.
In the sleigh,
They
yeah.
only do it on sleighs. So my grandpa Harold, Jim, found that they had a grist mill in Mayfield. They had already made a pond just to have a grist mill to grind grain. And so he came here, and here's the pond, not being used. Had a gate in it. You could operate, shut it up, water on and off. And so that was the beginning of the Gibbs sawmill in Mayfield, using the pond that was already there to grind grain. And so Grandpa Jim made a sawmill on a two-story sawmill.
Wow.
That's
So
a new idea,
the engine the engine upstairs, or?
because his crop of logs, he could get to a pond anywhere in Michigan or anywhere at that time. They were harvesting logs, cutting them all by hand, hauling them. They tried to harvest the logs where they're closest to a river,
Mm-hmm.
water. That was essential, first thing. So all harvesting was done near waterways, some sort. And so after you could get guys, you only paid them a buck a day to cut logs, but you could only get them to a river with a horse team, or else cut right beside the river.
Do you remember the size of some of those logs?
Yeah.
As a kid, how big would they have been? I've seen pictures of some of them.
Yeah.
Really big, but.
We got a picture in the house somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. They'd take a picture of a two men that cut the log, and they put on it, there's so many board feet in this log, you know. So there.
They try to estimate it, I
I
suppose.
can remember some of those pictures. 5,000 feet in one log.
Wow.
Imagine. No.
Bob, I'm curious. You said they used to take it to the south end of First Lake here,
Yeah.
and there was a mill there. And you also told me that there was no surface water running out of First Lake.
Yeah.
First Lake doesn't. How did, once they cut it and planked it there, did it go to Mayfield next and then go out of Mayfield, or how did they handle that lumber that was planked?
Well, they later built a railroad.
Okay. Oh, I think you showed me that along the side of the hill there.
Yeah.
Right, okay. And they could use that rail to take it down into Mayfield
Yeah.
to ship it out from there?
Well, they had, in those days, they didn't go to Mayfield.
Okay.
They one of the guys that moved here or established his life here was Wise. His name was Wise, W-I-S-E, and the first thing he did, he was a railroad engineer.
Okay.
So he knew how to run a steam engine. He knew how to hook up all the cars. And so he was the first guy that hauled logs out of these hills up here around this
Okay.
lake. Because he had a sawmill, and he built a railroad and went and got logs off the lakes up here.
Right.
And then
Wow.
he'd haul it over there where the Brown Ridge Dam has been removed,
Okay.
and he had to build a railroad, a long slant,
Right.
to get off the high country,
Right.
and so he was already an engineer and familiar with. He run locomotives, hauled logs, and with his little engine. And so that was after they had made the biggest cut was first. That was, most of the logs were taken by Hannah, who had a big sawmill in Traverse City.
Okay.
So they'd get the logs down to him on the Boardman River.
Okay.
And then he had, his products had to go on sailboats that they loaded at Traverse City, and go down south of Lake Michigan.
You told me, I don't know if it was at that time or sometime later, they used to take lumber from here and put it on rail down to Grand Rapids for the furniture industry?
Oh yeah, that's what my grandfather, Jim,
And this is the line that ran down through Kingsley and stuff?
yeah, and so they built a railroad, and they already had one that went to Ann Arbor. So they had to put additions on what they had
Okay.
started with. And so, when I was a kid, uh, the railroad in Mayfield just got built, and it had to hook on to the GRMI or something like Grand Rapids and something. They
Okay.
built a new one to go through Mayfield so that they could go to Traverse City and get products from Traverse City,
Okay.
and then they put it on a switch down by Walton Junction and put it on another railroad that would go to Grand Rapids.
Okay.
So
that's someplace between here and Traverse City? There was a spur or a switching area?
no, so all you had was a Pierre Marquette
Okay.
was the first ones, and that went by Walton Junction
Okay.
down by South,
Okay.
and so that's when they built the railroad in Mayfield. That's where it got hooked together.
Okay.
Walton Junction.
So was there, before this rail line up here, was this the first rail line that went to Traverse City? Or was there other pre-existing rail lines that went to Traverse City before the one through Mayfield here?
No, the Mayfield Railroad
Okay.
was just built, but I don't know what reason.
Okay.
But my mother and dad, they had a lot of music. Well, they went all of it to college.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things they had learned to enjoy was opera.
Mm-hmm.
And both mother and dad could sing that opera music. Mother could play it
Mm-hmm.
on a piano,
Wow.
and so having this need to get the lumber logs out of Traverse City to Grand Rapids, where most of lumber went that time, was to build a new railroad to Traverse City. Yeah. Because before the railroad, they had to put it on sailing boats, great big schooners. Yeah, the only way they could move lumber.
So they'd take stuff that was rough planked and take it on these sailing ships.
Yeah.
Or to Chicago, maybe. But they also take it to Chicago, I suppose. To Grand Rapids and.
Yeah, sure. So they already had a railroad, you see, that was approaching Traverse City. I'll try to think of the first towns they went through. I can't see it. Anyway,